Detectives arrested 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger.
You never know. Like that, our neighbor was, a possible quadruple murderer.
This morning, we're spotlighting the Idaho student murders case against defendant Bryan Kohberger. And did you get a load of this new development? There's motion from the defense team to strike the death penalty. And in a brief description, it reads, regarding Autism Spectrum Disorder. The motion itself is under seal, though, which is so frustrating for us because we can't read the motion and know exactly what's being argued, but we can make some inferences. We know that one CDC study estimates about 5.5 million Americans are living with autism spectrum disorder right now. So what might Kohberger's defense team be trying to do here? So many questions on this one. Let's bring in our guest. So pleased to have here criminology expert, author, and professor at St. Thomas University, Dr. Debbie Goodman. And with us, retired criminal defense attorney, someone who did death penalty work for many, many years in Arizona. You may recognize the name of one of the people whose life he saved, Jodi Arias, attorney Kirk Nurmi on the program too. All right, so let's start a little bit with this legal filing, because Kirk, I think a lot of people are going, huh? What? Could this be a valid legal reason to get this off the table? What do you think, please?
Well, not in a judicial sense, but at least not right now, Julie. It's really a complicated answer. But one of the things the Supreme Court has said, from a legal basis, a legal standpoint, is that someone cannot be executed if they don't have a rational understanding of why they were executed. Now, execution, if this sentence were imposed on Mr. Kohberger, would be 15 years down the road statistically. So the judge is going to, the defense team is going to want to put this in front of the judge, probably going to be rejected as a exclusionary factor right now, but it is going to maybe play down the road 15 years when the habeas attorneys are taking a look at this. The other thing this does when they raise the specter of it is, remember, mitigation in a death penalty case doesn't have to be correlated to the crime. It's not an excuse for the crime, but it could be a reason for the jurors to give mercy. And you put that out there and you bring that forward during a sentencing phase of a trial, and one juror, and all it takes is one, is to say his connection to autism might be enough for a reason for me to give him mercy and not sentence him to death to begin with. So there's multiple layers to a filing of this nature, and then we can expect to see expert testimony at the sentencing phase. It really exclusively is going to deal with that sentencing phase and ultimate prospect of execution.
I really appreciate that, Kirk. Okay, so it's almost like we have to think about this trial in two parts and think about, okay, this isn't something that would come into the guilt-innocence phase where the jury's on that fact-finding mission of what occurred here. This would only come into play if he's convicted, and then, as you said, mercy could be, one of the reasons that this may be cited. Dr. Debbie Goodman, I want to start by playing a clip for you. We haven't heard Bryan Kohberger talk a whole heck of a lot, but let's go back to that day in that traffic stop with his dad before he was arrested.
He was right up on the back end of that van, pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where are you headed?
Well, we're coming from WSU, and we're standing early.
What's WSU?
I go to the university, basically. There was an incident that was occurring up there. It was a shooting incident. That is SWAT team area.
I'm surprised there wasn't more about this. He's saying he witnessed this police incident. Dr. Debbie, let's dig in a little bit on this. What do you think of his reaction there, the interaction with the police officer? Your thoughts, love to hear them.
Sure. I think, Julie, that this individual is completely aware of, attuned to exactly what I believe his role was here in this case, and the level of planning and premeditation and preparation that had to have gone into this, but that clip would also suggest to me certainly somebody lucid, fairly relaxed. A lot of people aren't that calm, let's say, when pulled over by law enforcement. Also, he was using a good eye contact. So I know the focus of the conversation is about autism and how that may play into a potential mercy issue or status regarding the death penalty. But I really feel that we're looking at and listening to a hedonistic killer and there is such a classification, Julie. Some of these mass murderers, serial killers that we discuss on your program certainly derive pleasure from beginning, middle to the end. And I almost feel in that clip, he had a little sense of pride and pleasure knowing that he would be able to drive away and wouldn't be handcuffed that day.
Ooh, that's interesting, Dr. Debbie. Yeah, let's talk some more, getting into his mind. I think that's what everybody wants to do. And when at first I heard this, I think we were all disappointed we can't read the motion, but at least we can make the inference that perhaps he is living with autism. He's also highly intelligent, as many people living with autism are. I'm thinking to even get into the PhD program to study criminology, you have to be very smart. To be a teaching assistant, as he was, very smart. I don't know who's going to have mercy for this guy. Dr. Debbie, could you speak to that, please? The kind of analysis that you do in your field, I would imagine not easy, is it?
100%, Julie. Very involved, very analytical. Again, as you know, my background, I've been a professor for 30 years and have had just the great pleasure and honor of working with thousands of men and women who are today's FBI, DEA, Secret Service, Homeland Security. And yes, he is an accomplished individual academically, which would also speak to one's level of devotion, dedication, and determination, quite frankly, to obtain a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. And yes, at the PhD level, we look at that process really as the pinnacle of academia. And although he was just in the early onsets of the study, I can assure you at those levels, it really is a deep dive into the forensic psychology, the psyche of mass and serial murderers. And as you've heard me say before, I truly think he was participating in his own social experiment. He was well read about Ted Bundy and Dennis Rader, and he wanted to see if he could get away with it. And I think if he did, Julie, he would have become a serial killer.
And Dr. Debbie, before we have to let you go, I know you've got a theory you've developed on this case. It's so brilliant, and you have an acronym to remember it easily. Would you kind of walk us through your theory, the acronym, and how it fits on the facts, please?
Yes, thank you, Julie. So for the case, I created the JAR theory, J-A-R, jealousy, anger, revenge. I truly believe that this suspect was jealous of our victims, Maddie, Kaylee, Zaina, Ethan, both individually and collectively. I think he was angry that he did not have a social network at the time, 28 years old, really apart from rather than a part of any type of social dynamic, and ultimately took the revenge by taking their lives. And just how sad, brutal, and tragic all of this is. But I believe he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what he was doing was wrong. He wanted to see if he could get away with it. And thankfully, he did not.